Hello students, how are you? Hope you have already learned plant tissues. So now today we shall be discussing about animal tissues. In animals, as we did earlier, there is no demarcation of dividing and non-dividing tissue. Animal tissues, so this is the brief outline that we are going to discuss today. We have four types of tissues: epithelial, muscular, connective, and nervous. In epithelial, we have further classifications: squamous epithelium, columnar, cuboidal, and glandular epithelium. Then we have three types of muscles: striated, unstriated, and cardiac muscles, connective tissue, blood, bone, cartilage, tendon, ligament, areolar, and adipose connective tissue. And then we have nervous tissue. First of all, we are going to start with characteristic features of epithelial tissues. Epithelial is most extensive tissue of a body. It covers our skin. Then in case of internal organs, it forms inner as well as outermost lining. Anything that has to pass into the organ has to pass through epithelium. Then special feature of epithelium is that cells of epithelium tissue are very compactly arranged. Just bring in your mind the tiles of the floor. Like tiles of the floor are connected with very thin layer of cement in between them. They're very compactly arranged. Same is the arrangement in case of epithelium tissue. Anything entering or moving out has to pass through epithelium tissue. So permeability of the cells, it plays an important role in exchange of material between the body and external environment. Then another special feature of epithelium is that all the cells, all the epithelia, they have one extracellular fibrous basement membrane. तो ये basement membrane जो this is present in all types of epithelia. You can see in this diagram also. In all these diagrams, we have this thin, thick blue colored basement membrane. So you can see here different types of epithelium. One is simple squamous epithelium. In this, cells are very flat. The height of cells is very less. Then we have cuboidal epithelium, where height and width of cells is same. Then we have very long column-like, tall, pillar-like cells, which is simple columnar epithelium. Now in these three types of epithelia, you will find it is just one cell thick. But in this last one, we will see this is a multi-layered epithelium. This is a special epithelium. We shall be discussing about this now. Now, simple epithelium is the one which is made up of one layer, and stratified epithelium is arranged in a pattern of layers. That's you just saw the picture. Now, squamous epithelium, it consists of single layer of thin flat cells. अब thin flat cells हैं तो function will be exchange. Because of exchange of material, because of ease for exchange of material, these cells are very thin. These are present in the blood vessels, lungs, mouth, esophagus, etc. Then skin has several layers of epithelial cells. This tissue is known as stratified squamous tissue. Now, our skin is made up of many layers. Even when we rub or when we rub our skin with towel or even with a finger, if we are rubbing our skin, then lot many cells are removed. The uppermost layers of skin are dead cells, which shed continuously, and from the lower side, new cells are added to it to protect our body from mechanical wear and tear. The skin tissue is multi-layered. Then we come to columnar epithelium. It consists of tall pillar-like cells, which you saw just now. Now, the columnar epithelial tissue in the respiratory tract has hair-like projections on it, and then this tissue is known as ciliated columnar epithelium. Say there are tall cells, column-like cells. On the lower side, there is basement membrane, which is thick. Then we have nucleus in a cell, and then at the top of it, there are cilia, hair-like processes known as cilia. If these cilia are present, then this columnar epithelium will be termed as ciliated columnar epithelium. Basically, these hair-like cilia are present in our respiratory tract to push out any mucus or any foreign material which by chance or accidentally enters our respiratory tract. Because of presence of the cilia, this tissue is known as ciliated columnar epithelium. Hope it's clear. Now we move to next type of epithelial tissue, that is cuboidal epithelial tissue. It consists of cube-like cells. Oh, this is by mistake, it's written cone, but it should be cube-like cells. Tube-shaped cells having a basement membrane. It forms lining of kidney, tubules, ducts of salivary glands, and its function is to provide mechanical support. Next type of tissue is glandular epithelial tissue. Sometimes epithelial tissue folds inwards, and it forms a multicellular gland which secretes substances. This tissue is known as glandular epithelial. And sometimes there are unicellular glands also. Suppose this is a layer of epithelial tissue. Some cells become specialized to secrete substances. So they secrete certain substances outside, and this type of gland will be known as unicellular gland. And if epithelial invaginate inside, like this is epithelial tissue, and then it forms one invagination, and then here the secretions. So if such is the case, then epithelial tissue will be termed as gland will be termed as multicellular gland. And if single cell becomes secretory in function, then it will be considered as unicellular gland. So that's all about epithelial tissue. Now, my dear students, we move to next type of tissue, next type of animal tissue. In epithelial tissue, one thing more I'll like to add here. In epithelial tissue, you have to learn location of tissue, then structure of cells, and then their function. So it's better if you create your notes under 3 headings: structure, location, and function, because in examination, sometime it is asked, okay, name the epithelium present in your skin, name the epithelium which lines the respiratory tract. So if you have made a table, it will be easier for you to learn. Next issue is muscular tissue. Muscular tissue is made up of muscle fibers. Because of their elongated shape, these cells are known as muscle fibers. And muscular tissue helps in movement of our body, then internal movement, as well as these help in external movements. Now, there are 3 types of muscles: striated muscles. These striated muscles, as you will see in this diagram, these have alternate light and dark striations, alternate light and dark bands. Because of these alternate light and dark bands, these muscles are known as striated or striped muscles. Then you can see these nuclei. This is one muscle fiber, one nucleus here, another here, another here. It means these are multinucleated muscle fibers. So one is they have light and dark bands. Because of that, these muscles are called striated or striped muscle fibers. Then because these have many nuclei in them, so these are multinucleated. Then these are long and cylindrical. Long, cylindrical, unbranched, multinucleated. These are structural features of striated muscle fibers. Then these muscles move according to our will. Say I want to move my hand, or I want to walk, I want to lift something. So that is my wish. So these muscles will contract and bring about movement of arms, legs, fingers. Because these are under our control, so we call these muscles as voluntary muscles. Then these muscles are attached to bones, so these muscles are known as skeletal muscles. So we call these muscles striped or striated due to light and dark bands. We call these muscles skeletal muscles because these are attached with our skeletal system, that is bones. And these work according to our will, so we call them as voluntary muscles. Next, we come to next. These are the cardiac muscles. You can see bands here, but there are faint striations, not very prominent as are present in skeletal muscles or striped muscles. Then you can see branching in this. So these are the only muscles which are branched. Then you can see here zigzag thing. These zigzag connections are known as intercalated discs. Because of intercalated disc, the movement of nerve impulse, or sorry, movement of contraction becomes easier. The wave of contraction passes very fast. Now these muscles are not in our control, not under our control, so we call these as involuntary muscles. Special feature of cardiac muscles is that these never get fatigued. कभी थकती नहीं हैं. These never get fatigued. Now these, before birth, in womb of your mother, these cardiac muscles start working, your heart starts beating, and till death, these cardiac muscles, they keep on working without getting tired, day and night, 365 days a year. So non-stop working is special feature of cardiac muscles. So these are uninucleated cells, branched muscles, show faint striations, involuntary, never get fatigued. Now we come to third type of muscle, last type of muscle, smooth muscle. You can see these, the shape is spindle shaped, narrow at the edges and broader in the center. And there are no light and dark striations present here. Each muscle fiber has single nucleus, right? So uninucleated, spindle shaped, and without any striations, involuntary. These are not under our control, present in the wall of stomach, present in diaphragm, present in the all internal organs. So these are not under our control. So these are involuntary. So that's all about muscular tissue. Now we shall move to next tissue. So next tissue that we are going to start is connective tissue, something that connects. First of all, you should be familiar with features of connective tissue. Now, connective tissue cells are very loosely packed. They have a lot of space around them, and that space is filled with non-cellular material, which is known as matrix. This matrix can be jelly-like, fluid, dense, or rigid. And nature of matrix depends upon the functions performed by connective tissue. Now in the connective tissue, first tissue that we are going to do is blood. Blood is a liquid connective tissue. Its matrix is fluid. So it is a fluid connective tissue. Now, blood is made up of plasma, which is the matrix, and formed elements. Formed elements are different types of cells present in blood. These are red blood cells. Other name of red blood cell is erythrocyte. Erythrocytes perform special function in our body. They transport oxygen from lungs to different tissues of our body. Then we have WBCs. Now WBCs, they are two types. One is granulocyte because they have granular cytoplasm. Another are agranulocytes which do not have granules in their cytoplasm. Then these are neutrophils, eosinophil, and basophil. These WBCs are of three types: neutrophil, eosinophils, and basophil. Neutrophils, it's written in your NCERT, polynuclear leukocyte. Nucleus of neutrophil shows many lobes, multi-lobed nucleus. Other name of white blood cells is leukocyte. Then we have lymphocyte and monocyte. These five types, five names come under leukocyte or white blood cells: neutrophil, basophil, eosinophil, lymphocyte and monocyte. These help in fighting with disease-causing germs. In the end, we have platelets. Platelets help in blood clotting. When does our blood clot? Whenever there is injury, blood vessels get exposed. Then platelets come into action and these cause clotting of blood. You will also study about this in class 10th. Now, next connective tissue that we are going to start is bone. A very, very important part of a body. Bone is also connective tissue, and for your kind information, bone is living tissue. How do we say that bone is living? Because when you were born, you were very small, your bones were very small, and as your age progressed, bones also elongated. And moreover, somebody when gets bone fracture, there's a lot of pain, there's unbearable pain. That pain indicates that bone is a living tissue. Bone forming and bone destroying activities keep on going simultaneously. We call this as osteoblastic activity and osteoclastic activity. So it forms a framework and it gives support to the body. It anchors the muscles. Just now we talked about skeletal muscles, that voluntary muscles or strived muscles are attached with bones. So bones provide space for attachment of muscles so movement can be brought. And it's a strong and non-flexible tissue. It provides framework to the body. Now bone cells. Name is osteocytes. This you must remember because it's not given in your NCERT in the concept, but it's given in the diagram. Bone forming cells are osteocytes or syn proteins, osteocyte cells. These are embedded in hard matrix. So this is a part of bone. This entire white portion that you can see around is hard matrix. In between, there are some spaces in which bone cell is suspended. And bone cell, say, like these spaces will be present in the bone. Now, this is bone cell, nucleus of bone cell, and bone cells or osteocytes send processes in these canaliculi. So I have elaborated this particular part. Then in between bone, there is Haversian canal, this area, Haversian canal, which carries blood vessel as well as neuron. Now fibers, blood vessel is to provide food and oxygen to muscle, to bone, and then collects the waste and sends it back to blood so that it can be excreted out. Next tissue is next connective tissue is cartilage. Cartilage. Now this is a type of tissue which is having solid matrix that is made up of protein and sugar. This is very important. You must know matrix of cartilage is made up of protein and sugars, whereas matrix of bone was made up of calcium and phosphorus compounds. So this is one comparative feature, that matrix of bone is made up of calcium and phosphorus compounds, whereas matrix of cartilage is made up of proteins and sugars. Then in the labelings it is shown that it has hyaline matrix. Hyaline matrix is clear glass-like matrix. Then cartilage forming cells are called chondrocytes. Chondrocytes occur in groups of say 2 or 3 or 4. So cartilage forming cells are chondrocytes. Children, you must remember, where is cartilage present? In the nose, in your ear, trachea, windpipe, and larynx, that is sound box. Now in the nose and ear, you can twist your ear, you can press your nose. It's flexible tissue. So special feature of cartilage is that it is flexible. But In some cases, it may not be very flexible, like in case of cartilaginous bones, like sharks and rays are having skeleton that is made up of cartilage. Anyways, cartilage provides support and flexibility to various parts. Intervertebral discs of cartilage function as cushioning against stress. In between our vertebrae, there are pads of cartilage, and then it prevents frictional wear and tear of bone tips. Now, what does that mean? Say this is a bone. Now, around it, at the joint, here there is a thin pad of cartilage which will help in preventing frictional wear and tear. Then we have comparative feature of bone and cartilage. Bone is hard and flexible. Bone is hard and inflexible. So it should be inflexible. And cartilage is soft and flexible. We can cut this part. Then matrix is hard and formed of protein osin, whereas here it is chondrin protein, and there are calcium and magnesium salts in it. And here salts are not present. We have just discussed that there is protein and sugar. Now we come to next type of connective tissue, which is tendon and ligament. I have written it in tabulated form because most of the time this question is asked in comparative form. Compare tendon and ligament. What are the differences between tendon and ligament? You must remember tendon connects bone to muscle. Just now, like twice we talked about that skeletal muscles are attached with bones. Then in between that bone and muscle is small pad that is tendon. It has great strength, but flexibility is limited. It contains more matrix compared to ligament. Now ligament connects two bones at joint. Now say this is one bone and this is another bone. Now ligament will keep these bones in position at joint. So at the bones are at the joints, our bones do not get dislocated because of these ligaments. This tissue is very elastic and considerable strength and has considerable strength, and ligament has little matrix, whereas tendon has more matrix. So these 3 points of differences should be learned. I told you this is an important question. Now we come to next type of tissue, that is areolar connective tissue, which is connective tissue proper. Areolar connective tissue. Children, here the diagram is more expressive as compared to the concept. In concept, in your NCERT, it's just written about where it is present and its function. So it fills the spaces between skin and muscle, inside the organ, around blood vessel. It helps in repair of tissue. So function-based question can be there. Name the tissue that helps in repair of the injured parts. That is areolar connective tissue. But structure is not mentioned. Children, you need to learn structure from the diagram. There are different types of cells. Fibroblasts, which form fibers. Macrophages, which show phagocytosis. They engulf skin and they engulf disease-causing microbes. Then there are mast cells, and plasma cells. So mast cells, they secrete anti-inflammatory substances. So these are 4 types of cells. Then we have fibers in areolar connective tissue. This is reticular fiber, collagen fiber. So if you are asked to write a note on areolar connective tissue, you can add from the labelings that it contains 4 types of cells: fibroblasts, macrophages, mast cells, plasma cells. It contains two types of fibers, reticular fiber and collagen fibers. Now, last type of connective tissue is adipose connective tissue. As the name indicates, adipose means fat. Adipose means fat. Now, this is present in between skin and internal organs. It contains fats and helps to store fats. Here you can see the diagram. Now, this cream colored portion that you are able to see, this is adipose or fat, which has pushed cytoplasm towards periphery. This is the nucleus. So we have very thin cytoplasm, and nucleus is also pushed to periphery in adipocytes, and whole of the cell, majority of the area of the cell is filled with this entire is fat. Adipose connective tissue, it provides cushioning, provides protection from mechanical shocks. So students, this is all about connective tissue. Now we shall be discussing next type of tissue. And the last type of tissue is nervous tissue, very, very important part of our body. Nervous tissue helps in carrying messages from one part of the body to another and responds to stimuli. It is found where it is found: brain, spinal cord, and nerves. It contains nerve cells called neurons, and nerve cell body. I'll explain with the diagram. Now, nerve cell, it has a cyton or cell body, this part, and there are numerous small processes called dendrites. Numerous small processes called dendrite. There is one long process known as axon. And then there are axon endings, nerve endings, or axon terminals. Now here you can see Schwann cells, and there is myelin sheath. Now at some places myelin sheath is not present. These areas are known as nodes of Ranvier. So it has cyton, cell body, which has nucleus, many small processes known as dendrites, one long process known as axon. Axon is covered with myelin sheath. Now, synapse is junction between two neurons. Now, like in case of electricity wires, the wires are connected with each other in order to transmit the electricity. But in our case, in neurons, these do not have direct connection with next neurons. Say these are nerve terminals, and this is next neuron. There is a gap. This gap is known as synapse. Now you will ask, how come neurotransmission takes place from one neuron to another? Basically, if I enlarge this portion, say this is expanded axon terminal, there are some vesicles present in it. These vesicles have a chemical which is known as neurotransmitter. Whenever there is electrical impulse traveling in this axon, neurotransmitter release their content in the gap between two neurons. Say this is dendrite of next neuron. Now these neurotransmitters will convert electrical stimulus to chemical stimulus, and then these chemicals will stimulate this lining because there are receptors present at this end of the dendrite. And then next neuron is also stimulated, and again the stimulus is changed to electrical stimulus. Electrical stimulus, then in the gap there is chemical stimulus. Next dendrite and neuron, it is again electrical stimulus. That's all about animal tissues.